Welcome back to Supremely Black Podcast. This is your host, D Rose. Now, this is a follow-up story based off of the schools that are in Shenandoah, Virginia. So there was three schools: Norfolk Middle School, Stonewall Jackson High School, and Ashby Lee Elementary School, right? So these schools, and I had to make sure that I got them right, were named after Confederate leaders. So after the decision that was made in 2020 to rename those schools to take off the Confederate leaders, there was an appeal that went through in May that made them switch back to the Confederate names, right? So now the schools are now Stonewall Jackson High School and Ashby Lee Elementary School. So they had changed to Honey Run for the elementary school and Mountain View for the Stonewall Jackson High School. So they made it official and went back to the Confederate names, right? So as of yesterday, the actual NAACP out of Virginia and the president, Kazi Bailey, has issued an lawsuit, right? And he did this with 5 other students as well. And so they had a gathering with him and his attorneys and about 45 community members to be speaking to the board. So what they ran into is that with this coalition that's considered a conservative coalition has come together and said that based off of them renaming the schools, it violated some constitutions, right? So with that being said, they voted for it on May 10th and they won the appeal, so they had brought it back, right? So Kazi Bailey, which is the president, is stating that they're trying to go back to the Jim Crow era, and it is very distasteful to the black students, right? Now, how I look at this is that, as I'm just looking at the file now as I'm making this video, is you have to understand that the climate that we're living in the time frame, right? Everything is based off of being racial division. And if you keep people at unrest and battling amongst themselves, then you can do everything that you want to do under the sun, right? And I know I've talked about it in a few other videos. If you consistently support, they have Project 2025, but then there's also other things that are going on from a democratic side that people aren't speaking about, right? And of course, allegedly, there are politicians that will support us being chipped. There's 15-minute cities. A lot of different things, and if you don't know what any of those are, I would definitely say do some research and look into what 15-minute cities are. They pretty much want to keep everybody in the radius. You're not getting out, you're not doing anything different. They're going to use it as you're close to all the amenities, but you are distracted from being able to travel and get out and do different things. So if there was ever any attack from a foreign country or on land, then you will be pretty much removed from everything because you live in this 15-minute bubble. You don't really know how to go about it. But getting back to the point and comparing it to the Jim Crow era, I'm just gonna say this, is that as you look at the climate, as you look at everything that's going on, nothing that's being brought out surprises me. The timing is perfect because you have everybody lobbying for a vote. Anytime that they're able to flex back their power and say, okay, hey, you violated these laws or you violate this constitution and we want to keep what we have in place. Some people like to say that their city is named after, their school is named after, their museum, their park is named after Confederate leaders. In their head, in their eyes, they didn't lose. Only thing that they are trying to keep is their namesake or their quote unquote white supremacy. A lot of people, it's just crazy because they will do these type of things and people are all into it. Like, there isn't any thought, there isn't anything to it. Like, naming it under the Confederate names does what for who? And I can understand where the NAACP is coming from and Kazi Bailey is because naming it Confederate leaders and you have black students that walk the halls you're asking for it to be something else, of some type of racial tension, at any time, right? And I'm gonna be real with you. If there was white students walking the halls and they changed the name just to save face and not to have any critique, especially with a lot of things that changed, and a lot of people consider this post George Floyd, when everything had kind of happened in America and people wanted to get away from their heritage. I'm gonna be honest with you. Everybody doesn't feel that way. Some people are extremely proud of Confederates, even though they lost the war and slavery was abolished. People are still proud of that. And as minorities and people that are asking to be in places, I would just say this, is that I know just starting a school isn't the easiest thing, but to ask these people to accept you when they're not willing to, I'm not a fan of it, because to me it's like you're begging. And so there's other ways that I would say that could impact them, so that if you have businesses in that area, make sure that you only support black businesses or businesses within your community. Quit going to the McDonald's that is locally owned or probably ran by somebody that feels the same way that the school people that voted on it feels. If they're not in support of you, don't support them. And I'm not in the business of our people going out and quote unquote begging because they want to be included. If they want to change the name of that, go to another school. Homeschool your kids. Take them out of the school. There's still other options outside of just, hey, please take the name off of this building because our kids have to walk these halls. They don't. That's the truth, and I'm not trying to be insensitive in regards to the situation, is that you can take them out of school and homeschool them and they don't have to worry about it. If they play athletics, if they play sports, they can still go to whatever school. I know a few people that actually homeschool their kids and they're still eligible as long as they're taking the classes to play sports at whatever school that they decide within their district. Don't even worry about it. It's because if they want to live in the lie and whatever about Confederate leaders and want them on the buildings, I'm not saying give up. I'm saying fight back in a different way outside of saying, hey, we have to change this. They don't. And it's more than likely, honestly, based off the people that I've actually spoke with in Virginia, it's not going to change. It's not going to change at all. A lot of people in these southern states, or what I consider like the Bible Belt states, are going to go through and continue to go through things of this nature. It's how do you combat it? How are you preparing yourself and your people around you to combat certain things like this? Yes, you can go to the mayor. Yeah, you can speak with your alderman. Yeah, you can speak with your elected officials. But at certain points, there's going to be battles that you lose. I'm not saying quit fighting. I'm saying fight in a different way. Asking for them to go back on something that was voted on in 2020 and now they changed it because they had the majority vote. What is the likelihood of that actually changing? Because here's the thing, is that the people that are voting on this stuff has already been voted in. So every 2 years when you have your local elections, those are the same people representing that board. All they had to do was say, okay, we're going to wait till we get our people in position, vote, get them in power. We're going to get the names back on the schools, museums, parks, whatever we want. You take it as they are wanting to live in a certain era, which could be true. I take it as, what are we doing that is going to separate ourselves from relying on the system that was not built for you? If they want to live in the past years, let them live in the past years. How do you change this and prevent this from happening forward? Let me know what your thoughts. And you think that, and not just with the Shenandoah area in Virginia, there's going to be a lot of different things. There's a lot of other stories that I could cover with this, but do you all think that, truthfully, seeing these names on buildings and museums that have been reversed and changed to something different so that it doesn't offend people and they can bring everybody in, inclusion, let's just call it what it is, inclusion, right? Is it going to change moving forward? Do you feel that does it mean anything, right? Can you pull the kids from these schools and say, okay, hey, we're going to go do something else? Let me know your thoughts. I could be wrong. I'm not being insensitive, but I do feel that there are certain steps that we could take, impact them financially, disconnect from what they consider the system, and then if all else fails, homeschool your kids, allow them to go play sports or whatever they want to do at whatever organization or whatever school. Let me know what you think. As always, long live CC. I'm out.